Hello everybody, this is Ramona from the Healing Grapevine, and today I'm going to talk about my latest recovery story. It's a very personal story, and even though it had literally nothing to do with my physical body, it is in fact something of the same issues, foreign invaders, viruses, malwares, and it attacked my blog. You may or may not have noticed, depending on the visiting rate that you come to and see, but I had been literally attacked by a malware program. It took over the blog, and so I got quarantined, and I tracked down a fabulous service to both clean the blog site and then from now on monitor it daily. In fact, like 3 or 4 hours, every 3 or 4 hours, it gets monitored, watching for any potential attacks again. So today I've got Russell Wright from Network Empire LLC to talk better and explain better the issues around all the different things that can happen. We are all internet users at this point. We're all becoming internet savvy. We're looking for resources and better information, and unfortunately it exposes us to these kinds of attacks. And I'm just going to say this right here. I absolutely agree with any conspiracy theorist that when it comes to malware and viruses on the internet, they are 100% in the agenda of getting you. They are absolutely trying to bring us down. There's a couple of reasons why, but yes, I absolutely agree. This is one of those scenarios where they're out to get us and we must protect ourselves. So today, Russ is going to help explain some of the differences, different types of attacks, what is the difference between malware, viruses on the internet, phishing in your emails. So Russ, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. It's great to be here. Hello, everyone. So should we just jump right into the conversation?
Yeah, so there's a couple of levels here. There are probably many readers who don't have a blog and aren't interested in ever having a blog or a presence on the internet with a website. So we'll make that sort of the last layer to talk about. But let's go ahead and talk about the fact that as an internet user, you are susceptible to all kinds of viruses, and how do we protect ourselves from that?
Absolutely. There's a lot of parallels between the microbiology definitions of virus, parasite, malware, and the technical or digital world's version of that. That's why there's so many parallels, and they work as a great metaphor for each other.
The physical realm and the technology realm.
It's like microbiology. It's the process of accessing, a virus accesses the internal workings and the internal command and control system of a cell and or a biological entity, biophysical oscillator. And in the same way, digital technology is accessed by viruses, and when a virus accesses your computer, your software, or your operating system, it does so by giving it commands other than the original intention.
Literally, it's taking over the DNA.
Yep, it's hijacking the genetic stuff of the operating system.
Yeah.
The DNA is the thing that's supposed to give you the blueprint of your actions, your behaviors, and your, essentially your actions.
Right.
Right. Yeah, and if you tell it to do something that it wasn't designed to do, or something other than it would choose to do, that's hacking. Hacking is when something other than you tells your system to do something that you had no intention of it to do.
So it's taking over your commands.
Exactly.
So you've got sort of this really cool stackable system here.
Yeah.
And tell us what this means.
Okay, well, we can see we have the virus pictures here. I thought that was kind of cool. And this is designed to help this is basically the average user's stackable checklist. And it's designed so that you realize that there's nothing that you can really do to generate perfect digital immunity, just like there's nothing you can really do to generate perfect physical immunity. Because as I was telling Ramona, one of my favorite mentors, Dan Winter, was huge at quoting Dr. Albert Szent-Györgyi, the creator of vitamin C. And Dr. Albert Szent-Györgyi was one of the first doctors to really deal with what the immune system actually is in the physical body.
Okay.
And the immune system in the physical body is the difference it's supposed to be able to tell the difference between self and not self. Okay. This is what I should or should not let through my membrane.
Okay.
So the folding structure, which is what membrane is all about, that determines whether or not a virus has the key to your operating system.
Okay.
If your cell has a lot of integrity, it won't let things through, even those things are tricky, even if they have like skeleton keys.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So what we're doing is we're not trying to achieve perfection. And the reason I say that, everyone, is because I don't want you to be walking around in fear. Because fear actually generates its own chemical problems, you know.
Yeah.
And in the same way, if you lock down your operating system and your software and your email security too much, you're not going to be able to live.
Yeah, you can't get out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Albertson Georgi created vitamin C for that problem. He said, hey, just take a bunch of vitamin C and it's going to help modulate between, you know, evil virus and maybe other things in the environment. Okay.
All right.
So we're going to start. There's no such thing as a perfect, that's why I did right here. There's no such thing as a perfect operating system. Okay, let's start with the first question here. So relax. You don't have to have perfect security. And there's no, you know, you don't need to walk around out there, you know, be surfing the internet in fear, freaking out about every little thing. Okay. But we are going to get into some of the realities. Like right now, any of you listening to this who have a blog, your blog is probably being attacked, you know, a good portion of the day. Okay.
And that's something that's kind of what you call the bots or the robots.
Yeah, those are robots. It's no different than the viruses and the things floating around in our environment.
Okay.
Like you talk
Like
about
a
all the
germ.
time. Like you talk about all the time, Ramona.
Yep.
The
It's like a
talks.
germ.
Yeah, it's the germs and the bad stuff that are floating out there, and there's nothing you can do about it. They're always trying to get in.
Okay.
And the difference between you and everyone else is how you've got your balance.
Are you protected?
Yeah, how much vitamin C and other detoxing processes
Okay.
are you doing? So that's the first thing I want you guys to know, is that there's no such thing as a perfect immune system. In other words, you don't want to become sterile. You don't want to be a bubble boy. Did you ever see that movie,
Yeah,
Bubble Boy?
yeah,
You
yeah.
don't want to live in a bubble because you won't have any interaction with the world.
Yeah.
But at least not yet. We're not quite there yet. Depends on what city you live in. But then relax. You don't have to have a perfect immune system. Like the common cold, most hackers and viruses go for easy targets. In other words, they always go for the lowest common denominator. What I mean by that is that most of the viruses, the good portion of the probably millions of viruses that are out there and attempts on, you know, different things that are happening, they're going for super simple access points. It's just like a virus in the physical world, a biological virus, going, you know, really hitting very, very sick people.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Right.
just a lot easier.
Right. The elderly, the
Yeah.
already infirmed.
Yes,
But
exactly.
now that's an interesting point, because now you get me thinking about jumping up to the pleomorphic model. That is, of course, there are more sophisticated systems or invaders out there that, you know,
Yeah,
can really try to go through the firewalls and all that other
Yeah,
little
if you-
geeky kind of.
Oh yeah, well here's the thing. If you study quorum sensing, because I'm a huge fan of epigenetics, I mean my company is called Epimemetics, so we deal with the language aspect of the same thing.
Okay.
If you study quorum sensing, you'll discover that probably the existence of human beings is at least partially comes from the whole viral biological environment. There is some belief that you know, our very existence has to thank the viral and bio-terrain environment.
For evolution. Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes perfect sense to me. I do
Yeah.
agree with that one.
Yeah, and so we get into some pretty interesting things. For example, yes, very complex viruses, like say, oh, I don't know, maybe Google.
Can't say that.
Or Norton Utilities, which is supposed to be an antivirus software. So the question is, when does something become a virus? Those are not technical viruses, but the point is that Google owns the entire context that, you know, many people surf around in every day. So what their definition of security is becomes a definition of security for everybody.
Okay.
Okay, that's like the FDA creating standards of food or health.
Oh, let's not go there. But now, on that note, I have heard that the Google Chrome browser is one of the safer browsers to use for surfing.
Yeah, I personally love Google Chrome. I don't use Mozilla anymore because it's kind of bloatware. In geek speak, everyone, bloatware means that the program has grown so huge that it just eats up a lot of resources on your computers. Okay, Google is just so sleek and it's fast. There are some programmers that don't like to use it. Hackers don't like it. And there's arguments about their securities, but they are the securest that I've found, and they have a lot of flexibility in their toolbar. And again, it's all of your own personal settings, which brings us back to let's begin at the beginning.
Yeah.
Here in this stackable system, let's just quickly go through it: computer, email, global passwords, and ultimately your website, which is out there in internet land. Okay. I've given you a stackable system because remember, everything begins at your desktop. So Ramona was asking about your browser. Your browser is the thing that you're watching this video with right now. Okay, so if you're watching this, you're probably in Internet Explorer, Chrome, Opera, or Mozilla. Those are the 4 major browsers. If you're on a Mac, you're probably in Safari. That's where all of the trouble can begin. That's where things can get through called browser malware. These are things that are designed to simply, let's look at the agenda why these viruses exist and why these malware exists. It's mostly advertising. They want to make money.
Right,
okay?
It's all about money. I get that.
So they want to jump onto your system and start messing with things that they have no right to mess with to make sure that they can actually watch your behavior. You know, I would just prefer to know that when I'm using my Chrome browser, Google's watching my behavior when I'm logged into Google. I know that. It's not a secret. You know, there's no conspiracy because they tell you. But when you have a malware program that's actually infected somebody's website, or
in order to sell its own services.
Right, and they exist on a lot of very scary sites like conspiracy theory, alternative health, and porn sites. Those are the sites that have a lot of viral malware that get passed around. I don't know what that is.
Well,
joke sites as well.
Some of the largest industries.
They are. They are, and the most viral.
Okay.
They're the most viral industry.
Okay.
And
meaning shareable, not viral like disease.
Yeah.
You mean shareable.
Yep. There's
a lot of sharing goes on.
Yeah, and that's in my industry. That's called viral sharing, where one idea infects another person and it's passed around. It begins with cat videos, but it can also
Facebook is one of the big ones.
Yeah. A lot of viral stuff gets passed around on Facebook because it's addictive.
Yeah, people want to go, oh, that was great. Here, you should all see this.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All right. So not to digress, but I'm just trying to point out, everyone, that please start with your desktop and realize there's no magical system or perfection here. It all begins at home on your computer. Okay, your computer security. Make sure that you have an antivirus software. Okay, and this is the first one. That's recommended by your manufacturer. Here's a tricky thing that I watch everybody getting wrapped around the axle about. Everyone starts arguing about what the best virus package is, the antivirus package. And should I use Norton? Should I use AVG, McAfee, Kaspersky, all these other, however you say his name. And the thing is that I am defaulting to the recommendation of the computer manufacturer which you're using. The reason being, and I'm going to get some disagreement on this, the reason being is there's generally a relationship between the settings department of that computer situation and the company that they're using. For example, Dell uses Trend. They recommend globally Trend microsystems or Trend antivirus. And Trend seems to know the Dell settings in my operating system that comes at least from the manufacturer. Better than anything else I've ever used. It doesn't slow my system down. Doesn't get in the way with things. Now, guys and gals, I'm not saying that if you reinstall your operating system and you change the manufacturer settings of your computer, that suddenly you shouldn't use another antivirus. I'm saying that...
You're saying use an antivirus and find out which one is recommended by your manufacturer.
By your manufacturer. And that's all we're going to say, because we're not... This is a health site. This is not a computer site, and we do not want to get any complaints from you.
So antivirus and anti-malware software.
Yeah, main thing is a huge difference between antivirus and anti-malware. Not a huge difference, but enough that, remember, when you buy an antivirus package, you're not necessarily getting your anti-malware. Virus means something changes your system. When you hit an executable malware, it has to do with advertising. And I'm not an expert in this topic. I usually have to ask my developers like Sue and everyone else. But when you're dealing with malware, you're dealing with things that hijack the browser. You're dealing with Trojans and things that are really primarily about advertising. Okay. So they might come in a package with a free software that you downloaded from the internet. An example of this would be we downloaded a toolbar once onto our browser. The toolbar was supposed to help us download videos from YouTube, just clicking a button. Yeah. Well, they gave it to us for, quote, free. But along with that free thing came a automatic plugin that every time we typed in the word Google, it switched the search engine to search queue.
Yeah.
That's called malware. Right. There's no question. That's malware.
Okay.
All right, you don't want that. And
it's a hijack.
It's a hijack. And when we went and tried to remove it, we couldn't find it. It wasn't in your removal folder. Okay. Very sneaky stuff that really dark, evil programmers make. Okay, and the other thing is antivirus, malware, software database, update regularly.
Always update.
Right. If you get a good software like McAfee, or my developers don't like McAfee as much, and we're not recommending any of these, but any of the softwares out there, they will update on a regular basis. Yeah. Just make sure it's a major brand, and make sure you recognize the brand, make sure it's carried in Best Buy and other stores, If it's not carried in Best Buy and other stores, make sure it's recommended by your computer manufacturer. If it's not anything you're familiar with, be careful. It's probably not true viral software.
It is a you get what you pay for in that regard.
Definitely.
So,
You're going to have to pay for it.
Free and cheap is not a good thing to do on the antivirus.
Good point, Ramona.
Anti-malware.
Don't use free malware bytes anymore.
Yeah.
I'm going to put myself out there on that one.
Yeah.
Some weird stuff happened. Don't use free versions of AGV. Just update it. Google is currently recommending PC Doctor. I've had great luck with it. Okay, I'm not recommending it, but I'm saying that Google recommends it. Okay, so let's move on. Ramona's urging me to move on. Okay, she's like, don't get. All right, the email security.
Email is something that's very important for us.
And keep in mind that what we're talking about here is that once you've done once you've dealt with your desktop and your operating system and your computer, then you're ready to move to your email. Okay. Now, what we're talking about here is, I'll let Ramona get into it a little bit, but something called phishing.
Yeah, so I'm sure everybody's had this experience. I get it a lot because I have so much correspondence going on through my email where, family friend or reader on the internet, all of a sudden their email says, I've just found the greatest new way to make $1,000. Click here.
In 2 minutes.
And this is their email's been hacked. Almost everybody's familiar. You're going to go, oh yeah, I know all about that. But the thing is that there's Google, you were telling me, has a 2-step verification process to the Gmail accounts, which makes Gmail probably the best protected email system out on the internet. And the keys to this, you go to Google and you type in 2-step verification.
Yeah, we actually left the link for you here, so let me just go right over
great.
it.
Okay, we got the link. And the other thing is change your passwords. Just change them. And
that'll be up here.
Okay. Well, yeah, global security. Okay. But in the email, we don't think about it so much. Of course, we're a lot more careful on our banking and our credit card and our money sites, but emails, actually, Viagra loves your email address, your email address book.
Yeah.
So protect us all by following these steps.
Yeah, there's harmless things like spam, but there is, let's talk specifically about phishing. Phishing is when somebody sends you a lookalike page that looks exactly like eBay or exactly like PayPal or exactly like one of your major services that you use. It might even be one of your banks like Wells Fargo. They send it to you. It's from a little tiny server in China. It looks like Wells Fargo. It walks like Wells Fargo. It talks like Wells Fargo, but it ain't Wells Fargo. And what happens is that what they're trying to do is think about it. I just create a dummy site like Wells Fargo. I ask for your username and password. You type that in there, and where does it go? Well, it goes to Bob Hacker's minivan is where it goes. And this is true for networks as well. We're not going to get into network security, but it's the same thing. People are phishing for passwords. And all it takes is me getting into your Wells Fargo bank account once. Now, Wells Fargo and your banks, you might want to check on the securities that each of your banks offer and your guarantees. But the point is, don't let it happen. It's a hassle. I did get hacked once. Somebody found a credit card in an old P.O. box, and they went and they spent $2,000. Wells Fargo gave all the money back, but that was what you call physical phishing. But the same thing is you don't want to deal with that. Okay. So email security, avoid passing executable files. Don't open executable files from people that you don't know. In fact, I believe Google has recently stopped allowing the sending of executable files through Gmail as of late. And there's a reason for that. Okay?
Yeah.
That's where you store the viruses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll move on to the next level. Once you've mastered your computer security and your email security, you're ready to move on your global passwords. Now, this is when you get in one of the biggest aspects of email security is just don't pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as your password, guys and gals. Just don't do it.
Or the word password.
Even worse. Yeah. I mean, we're all guilty as charged, But just go ahead and here's the Google 2-step verification process for your Google account. For those of you who are more into marketing and all these different things such as online, promotion and the rest, you're finding out that Google is, boiling the frog slowly. Everybody's going to wake up tomorrow morning and find out that Google runs the world. Okay, it's moving very quickly right now. And so you need to be prepared for that. You don't want to lose your Gmail account. You don't want it to get hacked. If you're an MSN, Yahoo, or any of the other mail services, what you need to do, if you have one of those other services, is if you ever get hacked, you need to have an email associated with that account other than the account that got hacked.
Okay.
Every account like Gmail or Yahoo or MSN says, what alternative email address would you like to have tied to that account? Don't put the same email address.
Okay.
Because if it gets hacked, you lose it completely.
Okay.
If you have an alternative email address, then if someone breaks in, all you have to do is go to that account and let them know that you've been broken in. They will send you a confirmation to your other email address.
Right.
And try to make that not a free account. Have it be like Ramona@healinggrapevine.com, one of your main mail servers. Okay, if you have that. And make sure that you have it backed up so that you tell Google, hey, someone's broken in. They're like, oh, really? Prove it. Okay, let me send you a message to confirm that they've broken in at your alternative email address. You'll receive an email at the alternative email address. You'll click confirm, and they'll lock that account, and you can get in, and they'll change the password.
That's making me think of something. Just the other day, I went to a Hotmail account that I don't really go to very often, and it said to me, we need to double verify you because somebody's been knocking on this door trying to change your password.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I had the second email address verification already in the system so that it was easy for me to step through that door.
Exactly.
But that's what that is.
That's login phishing.
Okay.
And they do that for your WordPress control panels as well.
Okay.
Any of you listening to this who have WordPress blogs out there in Blogland, there are robots that are consistently trying to log into your WordPress.com/WP login.
Access
That's
panel,
kind of geeky. For those of you who aren't geeks, don't worry about it. Anybody who uses WordPress know exactly what I'm talking about. And what they're doing is they're constantly typing in the username and the password and variations of that and try to crack through. Now, I've got plugins that I use on our stuff to prevent that. But they do the same thing for Hotmail. They do the same thing for Google. And all they're doing is they're just constantly running encryptions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a robot, right? It doesn't cost them anything.
Yeah, they just run the script on it.
And they find thousands of people whose username is their email address and their password is password.
Okay, so don't do that.
So remember when I said lowest common denominator? That's what we're talking about.
All right.
Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right. Yeah.
Okay, good. So that's the global securities, and just make sure you keep things a little bit more complicated than basic predictable things. Okay? And once you've done that, you've got your computer. This is stackable. You got your email pretty secure. You've got backups for all of these, right? You got a backup for your computer files.
Yes.
Okay. Use something called iDrive for your computer search.
I just got turned on to that. I love that service.
iDrive will make you sleep very well at night. That means if something ever goes south on your computer, like Ramona's recently did, then you can immediately back it up.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, because the whole headache is really about restoring.
Correct.
So even though I did find a great system and they cleaned me up, they said, go back up your files.
Yep.
Well, if you don't have that already done, do you know how many hours of work that is?
It's painful. Yeah. So you've got backup on your computer system. That's all the files. You've got backup on your email. So if someone ever breaks in, just in case, you've got an alternative email address that you can immediately find out who it was, and then they'll just cancel that account, and they won't be able to log in anymore.
Great.
Okay. Then you've got your global security password, which is don't use the same password for multiple accounts. Okay. Mix them up. Don't use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and don't use password, and don't use your firstborn's last name and all these different
And
things.
change it regularly.
Change it at least twice per year, and I recommend every month if you can. That's too much for most people, but just keep in mind that, and also have a backup for all of your passwords. Okay, that's another thing I want to remind you of. Make sure that all your passwords are not sitting in one basket somewhere.
All right.
Okay, cool. Then you're ready for, now we're going to a level which is a little bit geekier. Those of you who don't have your own website, first of all, I recommend getting one. You're not going to be able to stay off the bandwagon forever. Because those of us interested in alternative health and healing and wellness actually do need to support each other.
Yeah.
That's part of the challenge.
It's the beauty of the internet.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
extraordinary.
Yeah, we need you and you need us, and we need to start connecting through what's called social networking.
Yep.
And that's where your WordPress blog, and I'm an advocate for the WordPress organization and for the system. I love it. And that's why I'm so passionate about security. Now we're going to get into that. Those of you who are not advanced, that's okay. Just listen in a relaxed fashion and don't have to understand it all right now. We call this the website or your hosting securities. And that is what recently happened with Ramona's blog, is she had a minor malware infection. Okay, and what that means is that people who went to the blog would say, who had a antivirus software on their computer, would see that there is some kind of malware, give them a warning.
Stop, go back, don't proceed.
Well, to put it a little gently, it's like proceed at your own risk.
Yeah, okay.
And it doesn't necessarily mean, by the way, that it would affect you. It just is Google and the antivirus giving you a warning.
They recognized that I had an infection.
Yeah.
And so, we, just like the germ world out there for our physical bodies, we still continually discover how the heck they work in community with each other and specific interactions with each person's body. And so the best protection is to just not get exposed, ultimately, stay out of the vector points. And so really that warning is about, you really probably shouldn't go here. We have detected some problems. It doesn't mean the Black Plague got spread.
Right.
It means there is a attack happening, and just back away. So.
Yeah, step away from the blog. There is some digital gonna ka. All right, so that's what we're dealing with.
I cried.
It wasn't pretty. And the thing is that we had all the files backed up, and we did all kinds of, I showed up in the plastic suit and the helmet, like, the guys from E.T. We fumigated everything.
No, he didn't, but that's funny.
And
Security, they're the guys.
That's true. And all it was the plague. It was just a common cold. It wasn't really the plague, but you never know. And so that's what you're really just looking at. So what we did is we want to recommend anybody who's got a blog, we're going to recommend the security service. Because if you ever get, what's happening, folks, for those of you who have a blog, you're probably getting hundreds of pings per day of people checking for files, depending upon what C block you're on. And the bottom line is that WordPress is one of those services that the older versions of it had certain kinds of plugins. When you upload a plugin to make your WordPress blog cool, you run the risk of opening directories or uploading plugins that were probably made by programmers who were less than secure, and they leave things open. And meanwhile, on your blog, there's all these tests like shark bumps. You know how a shark bumps up against something to see if it's going to defend itself?
Oh, or if it's edible.
Yeah. Well, the shark bump is a famous biological principle in which sharks will bump something a couple times before they attack.
Right.
And so those things are constantly going out and hitting they're just querying anything, WordPress, directories, and all kinds of technical geeky things that you and I don't even care to understand how it works. Okay. And they're trying to see if there's any holes in your immune system. Okay. If there's a hole in the immune system, it sticks the common cold in there. Guys and gals, it's malicious, it's malevolent, it's designed by Russian and Asian programmers.
Don't say that. But that's interesting that I want to bring back that point too, that you're saying too, if you're running on an older WordPress is that a template? Is that what that's called? If you're running an older WordPress version
of WordPress, not a template.
Okay, if you put your blog up a couple of years ago, which I had done, and you had an older version of it, you better go get it all updated.
Updates.
So that it is communicating to the newest, latest threats.
Yep.
These
Update.
shark bumps are constantly morphing. They're evolving. And so you need your website's immune system to evolve as well.
Correct. And that's not even going to help you long term. That's going to make you less imperfect than many of the blogs out there. But what you really need to look at, and those of you who are webmasters who are on our network of sites and friends and family who are in the health industry, is you want to look at this domain, codex.wordpress.org/hardening WordPress. And the reason you want to do this is because this will teach you 4 easy steps to make your WordPress blog a little bit more secure than your average install. Okay? And go ahead and do that. And this is the way that you'll be able to remain secure with your blog. And if you have any questions, you're going to want to contact a professional. And just to make sure that things are happening for you, you're going to really want to, let me just find this for you, contact Securi. Securi has a simple site to check to see if you're infected, and it gives you a free scan. And all you need to do is click on the free scan button and go to securi.net. Click on the free scan and put your domain into the free scan, and it's going to tell you if you've got the common cold or you've got the gonocaca of the digital gonocaca or whatever it is that you have. And if you do come up positive, it's going to tell you
Put me in there.
What that actually is.
Put the blog in there now.
And I'm not going to do your blog. I'll do somebody else.
I can't speak enough about this particular company. When finally found them, sent them the problem. They had it fixed in less than an hour and submitted to Google so that those warning signs would come down. And
Yeah.
and now, forever and ever, I will be using them as a monitoring system. They will be checking my blog sites every 3 or 4 hours. Checked every 3 hours. I can't speak enough about the, knowing now that I've got the right vitamin combination.
That's correct. And it's really about updating your immune system and checking your blood sugar and all these other things that are happening, because we're in an environment that's under attack. It's an aggressive attack. This is not passive. This is not just life. This is active computers, thousands of them around the world, trying to attack your blog. Now, one of the things that I want to say is that here's my site. Let me give you an example. This is one of our technology sites, and we have hundreds of blogs on our network. And one of the things that we discovered is that WordPress version is updated, and this is what Ramona was just saying.
Outdated.
Yeah, I need to upgrade the WordPress on one of my blogs to version 3.112.
It's telling you to increase your immune system's ability to fight off.
Yeah, it's probably more secure than the last version, which is why they upgraded it. Because WordPress is trying to stay up to date with the most immune response as well. They want their users to have that. So it's a free scan. Go ahead and check that out, and that'll be pretty much the easiest way for you to begin to have a sense of what's going on. Go ahead and read Hardening WordPress, protect yourself from malware, and also, just to wrap things up, relax. There's no such thing as perfect security. And that's not just me saying that, trying to keep you relaxed. I'm also just quoting WordPress on the Hardening WordPress blog. And what I like is, this is the way that I view it. After I took a course in security, and I'm still learning a lot, my systems administrator is an expert in these areas, and I've learned a lot from her. I'm going to say that fundamentally, security is not about a perfect secure system. Like I started the conversation here with, it's not a perfect immune system. Such a thing might be impractical. I believe that it is. You don't want to be a bubble boy or a person, you don't want to wrap yourself in saran wrap every day. But you can do the basics by using security. Okay, by using these systems that I've recommended, okay, by just covering yourself on the basics, by your computer security basics, a basic antiviral, anti-scan,
anti-malware, antivirus,
by your email security, having a backup email in case someone does get in, you can shut it off immediately by changing the password, by having another email tied to it, and having your emails backed up as well.
And watch what you're passing to your friends.
Yep, and don't pass on Gonakawa thinking it's a cool cat video. Okay. The global password security. Make sure that you use complex passwords and learn them well, and change them regularly, and have two-step verification, and have a recovery strategy in case you lose them. And use security and lock down your PHP files and test your plugins, and use the WordPress hardening strategy of keeping your blog secure. With that, you're going to have a balanced, healthy, and vital release and recovery from any kind of digital fear, and the big bad programmer hackers are not going to be able to bring down your alternative health empire, which is designed to serve, help, and heal other people.
Wow, Russ, that's fabulous. I know that was a lot of information, maybe not something everybody needs, but I think we need to, it's always about self-empowerment, self-knowledge, and you really gave us a great little overview on all of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I just want this to be helpful, and I don't want anybody to experience the pain that hundreds of our clients and associates have gone through, that we read about on WordPress and everywhere else, and within our own organization. And we just want the best for all of you to be healthy, happy, and vital, and for your computers to be healthy, happy, and vital. Okay?
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Remember, you've heard it on the grapevine.